Ladies and gentlemen, what's good, y'all? It's the Chillmeister J. Christian Gary, and you are watching and listening on YouTube, obviously, and if you are listening on the various other platforms that I have to a very special episode of Focus Fights Audio, especially only because of the fact that I'm not with my usual crew of characters here. I mean, for example, Jay Wolf is off doing the Ryzen report. Andrew Benjamin obviously has his own with the We Are Rising podcast. And, I'm basically stuck here just, I wouldn't say relying on the island of misfit toys, but to be honest, I got some people helping me back up. And, in this case, in this particular instance, I have with me Azuré Blue from the East Coast. Azuré, welcome. How are you? First of all, can you at least explain to the good fans here, just who you are and how'd you get involved with Ryzen?
Well, I am a new fan to MMA fairly compared to people like Chrish here. But my family background is samurai, 100% on both sides. So my father sadly passed away when he was young, but he had 3 black belts, kendo, judo, and he studied under the master Morihei Ueshiba for aikido in Japan. So I very much have the warrior spirit and love fighting, and oddly enough, didn't get turned on to it till about 4 years ago by a friend. I used to be in the gaming industry, and one of my poker friends said, I can't believe you didn't watch MMA before, but he turned me on to MMA and was nonstop. So Ryzen is recent, obviously naturally drawn to it because of my Japanese heritage, and have found the quality, the entertainment value, the production quality, and my favorite broadcasters, Chiavello and Damon, right? Much nicer than
Michael Chiavello and Damian Beatdown Brown.
Yeah, Damian Beatdown. Yes, right. So yeah. I was like, whoa, these guys actually know what they're talking about versus some other promotions we do not need to mention. So, so I just started getting intrigued and watching more and more, and of course, finally got my Ryzen TV subscription. But I am on East Coast time, so it is a grind every time I watch the fights, but it's worth it. So. And then I met Chrish here on X because of our love of Ryzen, and he so kindly asked me to join, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm a huge Ryzen fan.
Understood. And I mean, to be honest, when it came down to it, I mean, it's like I heard your name get called out by Michael Chiavello, I mean, as a shout out. And I mean, it's pretty damn obvious now that, when it came down to you are not a fair weather fan by any stretch of the imagination. You are definitely a true blue collar fight fan. It's like we basically opined in the opening of this podcast. You basically have you tried to cram a lot into putting this whole show over. I mean, you basically tried to cram a lot and just even learn.
I don't want to be a, what they call casual. I want to know. And like there's a lot of fans, they just don't really understand the fighters. That's why I love Chiavello so much, because I love the background of the fighters, the emotion, the lives, the whole thing, because I'm an ex-athlete myself, competed in some extreme sports and stuff. So I understand the heart behind it. So the reason why I got the shout out is because I really believe in sharing information, posting, reposting, posting, right? And he was liking me, following me, and everything. So when I heard it, I was like, whoa. So I believe that when you love the sport, you share it. And it has a whole different vibe from Japan, and the whole way the promotion and the whole way that they respect the fighters. So I really gravitated. So it's natural for me now to beef up to try to catch up with Chrish here on his over 10 years of experience to actually know what is going on here, right? To understand the matchups, the dynamics, the history, all that. So I'm gonna be beefing up on that and following this guy here, so I learn more.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't really call myself a true. The only reason why I'm a fan of this promotion in general is because I wanted to watch something different compared to the usual three-letter circus that had that, overall crapshoot last weekend in Vegas. That was pretty
Oh,
damn.
jeez.
Oh, by the way, welcome Taylor Lang to the proceedings. Taylor Clubber Lang, might I add. How are you, dude?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you again, Taylor. And I know that you probably got some fight news coming up yourself, but still, though, more on that in a little bit. But still, though, Taylor, when it came down to talking about this fight card, and I know that you probably wish you were competing on one of these fight cards yourself, but when you and Azuré, you can open your mic back up because I want you to answer this as well. But when y'all basically heard about this fight card and the fact that the main event is Danny Sabatello versus Jinnosuke Kashimura for the Rising Bantamweight World Title, I mean, what came to mind first and foremost? Taylor, you jumped in, so you can chime in first.
I actually like Danny Sabatello. He's got a good character. He's not much of a finisher lately, but he's winning his fights, and he gets me tuning in.
Okay, and Azuré?
I appreciate him, I respect. However, I'm not a fan of the style for this promotion, okay? So I respect, though, that he knows how to win and he's true to his character. He's not back down on that character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, but I would really like to see him. And of course, he was told, hey, you need to fight like a champion and finish. So I was very curious to see if he takes that to heart and he's able to do that, because that's going to change the dialogue about him quite a bit, right? So I think a lot of people don't like his style, the smothering style, but he does know how to win. He's got cardio. He's a dog in the ring, but or the square, whichever one we're in the ring, right? But I would like to see more from him. So I was like, you know what? Let's see. He said he's going to do that. He's been trying to ask to do that. So it will change the narrative a lot if he delivers a different way. And if it's the same old thing, then we might have more conversations about why don't you finish.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I mean, before we even get to talking about the main event ad nauseum, because of course, on this show, we basically talk about the fights from the main event all the way down to the curtain jerker, the first fight on the card. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the prelim portion of the program. The 4 fights that will be airing on the Rising Fighting Federation YouTube channel. That'll be taking place this Friday night in this case. That will be, I mean, if you're watching this now and it's Tuesday night, July 14th, that means the fight card will air, first of all, on YouTube coming up this Friday, July 17th at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, or really 11:30, 8:30 Pacific, with the 4 fight prelims taking place just to open up the card. And I'm going to basically run these down real quick. In amateur flyweight action, that's 126 pounds, 57 kilos, Jin Tanaka, Jin Tanaka, versus Kentaro Tomita. In no, I'm sorry, I'm basically having a damn, you know, brain fart here. Just give me a moment. But still, though, in lightweight action, Takuya Shibaev Shibamura versus Taisei Benjamin Mizuguchi. That is 5-1 Shivaev versus 6-7 Benjamin. Oh Lord, that meme again. But still though, bantamweights. Shuichi T800 Kondo, who's probably one of the most experienced fighters on these prelims, if not, fighting on the undercard and rising at all, will take on Shota Nagano, who is 10-6. Kondo is 18-15-1 as a professional mixed martial artist, just looking for a way to get onto the main card. And in the featured prelim, which really we'll be talking about more of these women's atomweights going forward, as there is a vacancy in the women's atomweight division. Namiko Hime Kawabata, 6-5 overall, versus Ayane Barbie Hirata, 4-3. And that fight will take place in the women's atomweight division, which in Ryzen's case is 108 pounds, not 105 pounds. Now, from what I basically mentioned, Taylor, you go first, then Azuré, you go second. From what I mentioned off of these prelims, which fight probably interests you the most, Taylor?
That's a good question. I kind of like the Takuya Shibamura versus Taisei Mizuguchi. I forget his last name.
I mean, you could just call him Benjamin. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what.
the Benjamin character.
Yeah, that's what Ryzen has down as his full fight name, anyways.
Yeah, it's a wild fight. One guy's 5-1, one guy's 6-7, and I'm pretty sure that's the guy who gets beat up a lot and then comes back in round 2 to win.
I mean, are you talking about Benjamin?
The 5-1 fighter.
Oh, Tanaka. No, wait, actually, no. Shivaev.
Shivaev, yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to double check in his pathology, but yeah, I remember that last name. He's like it's like inspired by like the Eastern Bloc fighters, you know.
Oh, yeah, especially considering the fact that, he's fought in Shudo, but 4 of his 5 wins are by way of finish, especially in the second round. I mean, it's true that you say that he basically comes back after taking a beating in round 1 and then comes back in round 2 and just finishes off his opponent. But the last time he fought, he lost in the first round. So that would probably be the prelim fight you're most interested in, huh?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a finish here for sure. So looking forward to that.
Okay. Azure, what say you after I just crammed all that knowledge on you?
Okay, so these fighters, I could not learn enough about them, but obviously I've been very excited about the atomweight women's fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't really get to see that in the other promotions as much, right? And it seems from what I see from the press conference, they're pretty fired up, right? They're pretty much trying to like talk crap about each other and trying to get them fired up. And you don't get to see that from a lot of little people very often. And I'm pretty muscular, but I'm about 4'11" and 112 or 14, so they're about my size. So I like to see them, but I do not have. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if Taylor knows this. You probably know it. The daikon legs. Have you heard this before with the Japanese women? They have like the radish legs, the very stocky legs.
I've never heard that, no.
Yeah, it's called daikon, like big radishes. So if you notice the Japanese women, you've got the build where they have a lot of the wrestlers, they have really short legs, right? Very stocky legs, very strong. And then you've got the really tiny, like people from Tokyo that look like they don't even have any organs because they're so skinny. I'm in between. I have long legs, thank goodness, right? So they used to call those daikon legs, right? So I love seeing a little strong, little buff little people going at each other. So you've got both builds, but I also love the fact in Ryzen that the women are really good wrestlers a lot of times, right? Their submissions, their transitions are great. So I don't know too much about these two women fighters. Maybe you can enlighten me, but I'm looking forward to seeing some little women throw down.
Well, to be honest, when it comes down to this featured prelim, I mean, you got Hime, who's 5'3", and you got Barbie, don't let the good looks fool you. She's 4'10", but still, though, these girls are basically some good fighters.
Yeah.
And just say, I mean, considering the fact that Hime fought Siwoo Park, and Siwoo Park and Moe Suda, two people she fought and lost to, will both be on the main card. Let's just say, if the women's Atomweight Grand Prix needs an extra body, this fight could very well be a reserve fight. I mean, am I right or am I wrong?
You said a
The
reserve fight?
possibility is there.
You said reserve? Is that the word you used?
Yes, reserve. I mean, because let's just face it, you got two good record women. You got two women who basically, fought their butts off, so to speak. And in the case of one of them, Hime, she fought two of the girls who are going to be on this card as well, and that would be Moe Suda and Siwoo Park. I think they're supposed to be facing off in separate bouts, but, this could be like it could be, as the youth say these days, a low-key banger situation, because we could potentially, let's just say, again, if one of these ladies drop out from the main card, we could potentially see one of these two ladies who will fight on this prelim basically be called up and get the opportunity to fight for the Atomweight title, right?
That's exciting. I like it.
So yeah, I mean, for once, the prelims ain't being treated like just a bunch of throwaway fights. For
Or the
once.
kickboxing fights that we see.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean,
last time they had kickboxing, right? On the prelims, a few kickboxers. Nothing wrong with kickboxing, but I was like, what's going on here? Yep. I mean, I like kickboxing. It was just, that was the prelims last time.
And you know what? Speaking of kickboxing, and I know this usually breaks away from, my rules when it comes down to this podcast, that we talk about the main card, the main events on down, but let's just face it. Let's just get it out the way so that we can talk about it. Kotaro Shiba versus Haruto. That'll be at 120 pounds. That is a kickboxing bout. Shiba will be 20 years old. Actually, Shiba is 20 years old. Haruto is 22. Do we really care about this damn fight?
Not really. I prefer all MMA fights. But to be fair, the just double checking his name, Shiba has got a good record. He's a good fighter.
Okay, what's his record?
Well, it's on Tapology. I'm looking, so I don't have the number, but like green. Many good wins. K1 fighter, fought and won.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the Tapology list now. He's basically a damn good fighter. He's fought in 1FC. He's fought in K1. He won a championship in one of the smaller promotions in kickboxing. But then again, you look at Haruto, and I'm looking down that list. Yeah, he represents the K1 Gym Team Pegasus headquarters. And from his Tapology record, considering his K1 run, he's 5-1. I mean, basically, he's just looking for an opportunity to fight, but, it's just basically like the appetizer before the main course. You want to scarf that down just to basically get to the rest of the portions.
That's fine.
Sure.
I'm such a like a newer fight fan. Sometimes I'll just watch some things and just watch people go at it, get myself fired up. So sometimes if they're like really aggressive and going for it, it might be kind of fun. So maybe we don't care about the weight of the fight, like the importance, but if they can go out and, like knock each other out or something, it might set the tone for the card. So we can hope for that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Now, considering the fact that we pretty much had our fill of talking about the undercard portion, let's go ahead and talk about what we're really here to talk about, and that is the main event of this fight card. That's Danny Sabatello, the Italian gangster in his own mind, versus a person who a lot of Japanese fight fans call the Black Belt Rebel, Jinnosuke Kashimura. First of all, a little bit of info and background on the Black Belt Rebel Jinnosuke Kashimura. He is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs in at 134 pounds, well, 134.2 pounds. You have to remember, Ryzen has a very, very strict, excuse me, sorry about that, a very strict weight limit requirement where you have to weigh in at 61 kilos, 134 and a half pounds on the button for these types of fights. I mean, the dude weighed in at 134.2 pounds for his last fight. He comes into this fight with a 12-5 record, 11 wins by way of finish, and he's 2-1 in the Rising Fighting Federation, most recently becoming the deep interim bantamweight champion. He fights out of Ibaraki, Japan, representing Strappel Torai Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And let's just face it, he's been learning a lot of crap and slang talking, trying to basically outwit the Italian gangster in his own mind. I mean, really, he's trying to outwit the Italian gangster in his own mind, which, in the case of Sabatello, 18-4-1, fighting out of Sunrise, Florida, by way of Chicago, Illinois, USA, 33 years of age. His fight record, 18-4-1, but he's 4-0 in Rising and is coming into his second title defense with the Rising Fighting Federation bantamweight title on the line. And let's just face it, statistics aside, and yeah, he represents American Top Team, we know that, but still, though, it's like it has basically been said for Sabatello. Dude hasn't had an outright finish since his first fight in Rising against Shinobu Ulta, and Rising staff basically feels like if Sabatello doesn't deliver on the goods when it comes down to finishing opponents, we could be seeing his days be numbered under the superior rule set. So, Taylor, I'm going to basically let you speak about this first. We all know that Kashimura probably doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of even winning this fight, but let's say this. Do you think that Sabatello has at least a fighting chance of finishing Kashimura?
It's an interesting fight because Kashimura has a lot of submission victories in his fights. And since
Mm-hmm.
Danny Sabatello just takes you down and holds you on the ground, there is that dynamic of, the submissions being thrown at him over the 5 rounds. So I think likely the Italian gangster will win. He's got a good stifling ground style, good pressure, good pinning ability, but you never know, right? We've seen crazy upsets. Even Johnny Eblin got rear naked choked with a few seconds left in his fight, so it's possible.
Yeah, but comparing Costello Van Steenis to Jinnosuke Kashimura are two entirely different things. And, I'm not saying that an upset might happen. I'm just saying that, we probably might see the best fight yet from both fighters. Am I right?
Yeah, it would be a Hail Mary, for him to score that finish, but he's a good fighter, he's on a good winning streak. He's 12-5 and he's good. Just how can he handle the wrestling of that level? It's a big difference between the regional fighters.
Understood. And Azura, you're basically saying that, you don't like Sabatello's ego, you don't like how he fights, but, considering the fact that, you probably watched your fair share of footage and saying that Sabatello probably needs a finish, and he most definitely does in order to keep his rising career intact. Like, what is your opinion about this fight? Do you really think that Sabatello would be able to finish Kashimura?
The feeling that I get when I watch Sabatello is a little bit of anguish because I'm like, God, he's so relentless, right? I mean, in a positive way for him, he's so relentless that people try to do this and he's just so smothering and just doesn't stop and his cardio is so crazy. So I don't really know because I haven't been watching him that long, but I do see that he doesn't stop, right? And I don't know much about Kashimura, but my quick study, right? I do like the fact that he's good with submissions. I do like that challenge for Sabatello, and I would because it seems like the guys I've seen him fight before, they didn't have as much to give back, right? So they just sort of were almost bullied and dominated. So I would like to. And how old is Kashimura?
Kashimura is 24 years old.
So I like the youth, and I like the. You said he's kind of stirring up some trouble here, trying to get some right. He's trying to get inside. Is that what you're saying? He's trying to get a little.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that for Mister, gangster Sabatello, who's very confident. I like the fact that a young guy's coming in with some different skills and has a potential to create a challenge, right? So I'm not so sure when I watch him, like, oh man, come on, come on, come on. But he's fought people that didn't, in my opinion, in the last few fights, I didn't think that they kind of just were overcome by his style, right? So I would like to see, I'm excited to see if this does bring a challenge, youthful, maybe a little confident young guy coming in and challenging and believing
Mm-hmm.
he can win. I like that because maybe we'll bring a challenge to Sabatello that maybe round out his not so always being so cocky, right?
Yeah,
So I'd like to see that because I don't dislike him as a person. I'm just like, I just want to see something different than just someone smothering somebody and then the other fighter's not really giving him any challenge. So
understood. Well, as far as predictions for this fight goes, I have Sabatello winning. It's just that he's going to need to get a finish. Taylor, what say you?
I agree. I think Danny will win, the Italian gangster. I'm a bit biased though, because my mom's Italian. She lived in Rome for a couple of years. So, the Italian thing gets me. But I got to be honest, I want him to be a more violent fighter. I want to see, I don't care if you want to score takedowns, it's great. But I want to see more aggressive ground and pound, take the risk of them getting up again to advance position, attack with submissions. Then I think people would appreciate Danny's style. It has been kind of stale.
Understood. I mean, to be honest, a lot of people can agree with you. I mean, his last three fights were wins by way of decision, all because of the fact that he just kept, grapple fucking them. And I hate to say it that way, Azur. This is not a family show, but still, though. I mean, basically, I think a lot of people are just tired of seeing Sabatello play the ground game. And yeah, I know that this is kind of ironic, considering that we all basically come from North America, and you know how fans are when it comes down to fights going to the ground. But still, don't I think that Sabatello definitely needs to find a way to finish the fight. Otherwise, he could just go ahead and vacate that title instead of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna defend this title 80,000 times and fight until my face gets sore," something like that.
I
Azur,
really think that's what they want. I think that's why they're saying, hey, you better deliver. And he knows it. So it's going to be basically put your money where your mouth is. And respect to you, Taylor, for your Italian heritage. I got a lot of Italian friends, okay? So respect to put your money where your mouth is because he has said, I know I need a finish, right? So we'll see if he can do it. If he can do it, great for him. If he cannot do it, you're right, ship him out. Hey, Taylor, I want to ask you a question. I'm really good at promoting. Do you have a Twitter handle?
I do, yeah.
What is it?
It's at Taylor Lang MMA.
Okay, so I'm putting a post up because I am a promoter extraordinaire, letting people know we're live. So I'm putting at Taylor Lang MMA for you. Okay.
Oh,
On
that's
my
awesome.
post.
Thank you.
So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's and I'm like I am extremely surprised when I started watching MMA how much I absolutely love violence. So I agree. We need a violent fight. We need violence. We need some change. Otherwise, I think they are going to say, "Look, dude."
Well, yeah.
Especially in Ryzen. Ryzen's known for finishes, the
Yeah.
epic rule set, soccer kicks. Like, there's so
Oh,
much you can
soccer
do.
kicks. Ah,
And
Mm,
instead, you just hold someone on the ground. And Mr. Sakaki Kabara-san already warned him. So I think he's going to show up and perform better this time.
yeah, hopefully so, because the last thing people want to waste their $20 on when it comes down to is actually seeing 15 minutes of grappling and not enough action.
and then him not. I hate to say this in a largely Japanese crowd. Him not being Japanese, that doesn't weigh very well, right? So if you're going to come in and be the American, you better make us love you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yeah.
nothing more but the ugly American, and I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about action.
Style, not lack of style.
Oh yeah, of course. But you know what? If that main event doesn't get people talking, then I'm pretty sure a lot of the fights that are underneath this main event will. And in this case, the co-main event has a lot to offer coming up. Karshyga Dautbek versus the Underground Emperor, Kinkapancho, Kyohei Hagiwara. For Dautbek, who is 18-3 with 15 finishes. He stands in at 5'7", 145 pounds. He has a 4-1 with one no contest record coming into this rising fight. He hails from Shymkent, Kazakhstan. Shymkent, Kazakhstan. That's how he spells his hometown. But still, though, point of the matter is he fights out of Tiger Muay Thai in Bangkok, Thailand as well. But still, though, point of the matter is the fact that this is his first fight in 7 months. Like the last time he fought, it was a no contest against Yuta Kubo that would have went, dangerously for Mr. Kubo until an eye poke happened in the first round. Like 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the fight, an eye poke happened. Homeboy had his cornea messed up. He had to sit out for a few months because he couldn't see worth the damn. But still, though, he's back. His vision and hindsight, pardon the pun, is 2020. He's ready to go out and continue his domination streak, which dates all the way back to February of 2020 when he just basically ran through opponents like a buzzsaw. And in the case of his opponent, ironically enough, Kyohei Hagiwara, he's saying, "Oh, I never want to lose again." Da, 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 da. Well, if Kaleo Mahula would have made weight the last time out back on April 11th at Rising Landmark 13, that would have been a loss, and his second consecutive loss at that. And just a little info on Hagiwara. He's 5'10", 157 pounds. Well, actually, no, 5'10", 145 pounds. Representing Team Smoker because they all love that gym so much. Fighting out of Osaka, Japan. 30 years of age, oh, by the way. But still, though, dude really dodged a bullet when he faced off against Kaleo Mahula last time out. Yeah, he got knocked out almost the entire duration of the first round, got knocked out with a knee and grounded strikes. But again, if it wasn't for Kaleo Mahula missing weight, dude would have had his second consecutive loss, and he basically vowed to never lose again. It's going to be really hard for him to basically say that when he has, a wild opponent like Karshyga Dautbek, fresh from getting his vision back. I mean, Taylor, when I mean, this is going to start off, Taylor, you first. When it comes down to Dautbek, I mean, do you really think that he has more of a danger of losing than Hagiwara?
Well, for Hagiwara's sake, I've seen him fight a lot. I like him as a fighter, but if you never want to lose again, coming off two losses technically, and then you have to fight Dautbek, that's pretty tough for him, you know? Dautbek's on what, a 10 fight win streak or something. He's a
Mm-hmm.
killer.
Well, 10 wins and 11 fights, considering his last fight was a no contest.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In a way, it's almost a mismatch in my mind. Like, especially like Hagiwara coming off a knockout loss. And dang, I don't know. I don't really see him winning this fight, even though I cheer for him because I like him as a fighter.
Just a correction on that, Hagiwara is coming off of back-to-back knockout losses in what
Ooh.
would have been 2 knockout losses if it wasn't for that last result.
Yeah, and Dautbek is, I think he won his last couple fights by decision, but he has some striking wins on his record, so maybe he will go and test the chin. I mean, you'd be dumb not to with an opponent coming off 2 knockouts, you know?
I mean, to be honest, he doesn't just have some knockout. I mean, Dautbek doesn't just have some knockout wins on his record. I mean, the dude has a 78% knockout ratio for a reason. I mean, he, like I said, is basically steamrolling through opponents left and right. You'd think that he would be vying for the featherweight title right now.
Yeah, he's damn good, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. And Azure, when it comes down to this particular fight, I know that you would probably be rooting for Hagiwara in this case, but I mean, is it hard to say that, Hagiwara is in for the fight of his life?
Definitely, especially coming in after 2 knockout losses like that.
Hmm?
And and Dautbek knowing this, of course, right? And that always scares me anyway, if they're back to back, right? Because you can't underestimate the damage that would have taken and how much his chin would have diminished, right? So, and then in such a visible spot on the card. But you never know. I am a big fan of the underdog or the person who's not supposed to win pulling the upset. So we'll see. But it is definitely a tough test. My eyes will be on this fight.
Oh yeah, my eyes are definitely going to be on this fight, especially if the main event basically stinks up.
Mother fist.
Oh yeah, of course. But I do see Dautbek winning this via knockout only because of the fact that, you know, I mean, you got Dautbek returning after a 7-month layoff and having his eyes damn near wrenched out. So, hopefully we can see a good performance from both. But if Hagiwara gets the upset win, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be sad either, especially considering the fact that, it's like Hagiwara said, he wants to vow to never lose again, but it's going to be really hard doing that, facing off against a guy who, prior to his last fight, was coming in on a 10-fight winning streak. Now, let's go and talk about the third fight that's going to be taking place on the main card, or at least the second fight on the 4-fight featured portion of the program. And that would be 2016 Greco-Roman Wrestling Olympic silver medalist Shinobu Ota versus, and I'm going to get this pronounced wrong, but just bear with me, Yrysbek Demolition Tilenov. How to spell it? Yrysbek It's like Tylenol, but you get the point. Anyways, the point of the matter is when it comes down to Shinobu Ota, the former Olympic silver medal wrestler is 5'5", weighs in at 134.5 pounds. He comes into this fight with an 8-5 record, 6 of his 8 wins by way of finish, 7-5 in Rising, fighting out of Gonohe, Gonohe, Aomori, Japan. As far as his last fight goes, he, after losing to Danny Sabatello back on May 4th, 2015, on Sabatello's way to becoming a world champion, came off of back-to-back losses, not only to Sabatello, but to Yuki Motoya as well, with a rear naked, well, not a rear naked choke, but an arm triangle choke win over Yuto Kentaro Hokamura back at Rizin 53 back on May 9th. I mean, talk about a fast layoff. I mean, the dude basically came off of the fact of a 2-month span. You know, he was just rested up and ready to go. But it's not going to be easy, even though he's prepared for situations like this from his Olympic days. It's not going to be easy facing off against the teammate of the rising featherweight champion Rajabali Steamroller Shadulayev. As for Tilenov, he is 7-1 overall, fighting out of Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. He has a professional MMA record of 7 wins, 1 loss, with 5 of his 7 wins by way of finish, 4 knockouts, and a submission. He will be coming into this fight off the back of a 6-fight winning streak, with 4 of those 6 wins by way of finish, 3 of those coming in the later rounds. But still, though, I just gotta say, when it comes down to these Eastern European fighters, I mean, they have really been taking over the Rising Fighting Federation. Like, they basically know their stuff. Like, they all grew up in the age of Fedor Emelianenko. But, Taylor, considering the fact that your background is basically in amateur wrestling yourself, considering the fact that Shinobu Ota is basically going to be walking into this potential buzzsaw of an opponent, what would you do if you were Shinobu Ota in this situation?
Honestly, I really like Ota. Like, mathematically, he doesn't have the best record, but if you look at the guys he lost to, they're like the top fighters in Rising. I think he's really good. And I think he should use his wrestling as a superpower. Take this young, super athletic MMA fighter down and basically Italian gangster him, but more violently. That's what I'd recommend.
So basically, what you mean is yeet him, suplex him all the way over the cage, and just basically, beat him like he stole something?
Hell yeah. You gotta take the athleticism away from these younger guys, you know?
That I can understand. I mean, especially considering the fact that Tylenov, I think, is going to be coming in as the younger, fresher competitor compared to the two. I mean, Shinobu is 32 years old. I mean, he just came off of a win over him. No, he just came off of a win over Kentaro, which was an arm triangle choke submission win. He does have hands that he can knock people out with, but it's going to be really hard for him to try and face off against somebody who's 22 and just looking to do what his mentor has done in the last year or so and that steamroll potential opposition. I mean, do you have anything else you'd like to say about that, Taylor?
That Tilenov is a good fighter. Yeah, when I looked him up, he's got wins on guys with strong records. So it's not going to be easy at all. But I hope that Ota can win a decision on him. I think that's realistic.
Understood. Understood. Now, Azur, when it comes down to Tylenov, he's making his rising debut. He's basically being trained by one of the better fighters in the promotion, and again, Rajabali Shadulayev. I mean, what do you see his strategy in coming into this fight against a former top-level amateur wrestler?
It always breaks my heart when see like the steamroller guy, just the relentlessness of that style, right, against Japanese fighters because they're not used to it. I'm gonna say that that's his youth and probably nonstop movement, right? Nonstop transitions, nonstop. That is going to be his kryptonite. And Ota, that's what I like to see in him. From what I know of him, right, is experience. So I always like when it's a younger fighter and a more experienced fighter, right? Having the experience went over, but he's just probably going to go at him like gangbusters. I kind of can see that. So that I don't even think he has to worry. He's just going to be that you know how they just go from transition to transition to transition like his mentor, right? That's always very scary for a Japanese fighter.
Oh yeah, especially considering the fact that, when it comes down to Japanese wrestlers, yeah, this is kind of ironic of me saying this because Ota is a world-class amateur wrestler. It's just a fact that not a lot of Japanese fighters know how to handle ground game. And when they do go on the ground, lights out. But still, though, it's going to be really hard for Ota to just go on the ground and just basically try and look to make this guy tap out. When all of a sudden, when he even attempts to even try to do that, Tilenov is just going to basically knock him out. And, that's what...
And I'm guessing Tilenov, whatever his name is, right? Yrysbek, he's probably very good at scrambling, wouldn't he be? Like, if you try to grab him, he scrambles. Would you say that would be part of his style?
Yep. Most likely.
Yep.
And that's why in this case, Gomenasai, sorry to the Japanese fan base, but I think that Tilenov is going to get this win over Ota. But the thing is, if Ota doesn't play, if Ota tries not to play into Tilenov's game, I think that this one might be a low-key fight of the night candidate. Either y'all got anything to say about this fight before we move on?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's good. Like, the thing about Western fighters is they're better at mixing martial arts, like striking into wrestling, into ground and pound, into submissions, whereas the Japanese fighters are like experts in one field. So if Ota can set up his wrestling with strikes, that could be good. If Tilenov defends all of his takedowns, then we could have a good striking match too. So I like it.
And Azuré, you got anything to say about this fight before we move on?
Nope, I'm just excited to see this fight and learn more, get more background, see more fighting time for both fighters to, learn more and pick my side as I go, right? Develop my favorite styles and that kind of thing. So just looking forward to it.
I see. And Andrew is basically chiming in and saying, LOL, hey, what did I miss? You didn't miss much of anything. You just missed basically a bird trying to teach its nestlings how to fly. But still, though, we're basically trying to hold our own and get things together. That's all you missed.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, and by the way, just to remind you, Andrew is one of the people who runs one of the other fight podcast platforms. I've basically known him for about 10 years, but he basically hosts the We Are Rising podcast. If you want to check that out, the link for their platform, the link to their latest episode actually, is in the description if you're listening to this over the audio. But still, though, point of the matter is, let's go ahead and move on and continue with the fourth main card fight taking place, which will be the first one. I'm confused. Who are the birds? Andrew says, well, you got Taylor Lang from Burlington, Ontario, Canada, A. You got Azuré, who is from the East Coast, from New York, I think. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, but still, though. Neither of these two have done this podcast before. I have interviewed Taylor before his first fight, and he is a well-trained mixed martial artist who fought for Roman combat. Azuré, on the other hand, got a shout out from Michael Schiavello at one of the recent Rising events, and she has been a long-time fight fan in her own right. So, yeah, I guess in a way, Andrew, if you're listening to this, I'm basically like the mother eagle trying to teach its nestlings, its birds, to fly. Even though these two got a lot of experience and a lot of fandom over me. But that's beside the point. Still
And
though.
I follow you, Andrew, on X. I support you on X there, sir. And I just so
Uh,
happy.
oh yeah, and Andrew was basically saying, "Oh, LOL, I thought you were talking about the listeners as underlings." Yeah, because of the whole bird pun. Still though, point is, let's get back on track to fly this bird straight, so to speak. No pun intended. As we got the fourth main card fight on the docket, the first that will be shown on the main card after the intermission, and that is HIROYA Kondo, HIROYA Kondo, but he normally goes by his first name, taking on Erson Badman Yamamoto. For HIROYA, he's 5'5", 125 pounds, weighing in at 124.9 pounds, actually, instead of 125. He holds an MMA record of 11 wins, 15 losses, and 1 draw, with half of his wins by way of finish, 7 in total. He has a 3-5 record in Rising. He is a 2024, oh wait, actually not 2024, 2025 Rising Flyweight Grand Prix participant, fighting out of Tatsuno, Hyogo, Japan, representing Japan top team. And of course, he's more known for his manager Billy Bigelow telling him after he lost the Rising Flyweight Grand Prix bout to, I think, Hideo Tokoro. No, I think it was either Hideo Tokoro or Yuki Motoya after the fight, where Billy Bigelow said to him, "You're going to be a champion one day. It just takes time." I'll never forget that. But still, though, Hiroya is coming off of back-to-back losses, losing to Yuki Motoya back on July 27th at Super Rising 4. That was 2025. And then he lost on New Year's Eve 2025 to eventual Rising flyweight title challenger Makoto Shinryu Takahashi. Yeah, I know Andrew hates that because it sounds like nails on a chalkboard, and I love it. But still, though, point is, he hasn't had a decent win since he knocked out Tatsuki Shinosuke back on May 4th at Otoko Matsuri 2025. Again, shout out to Shinosuke. I heard he got injured. Best wishes for a speedy recovery. As far as the former junior cadet wrestling champion, Erson Yamamoto, fighting out of Yona, Guam, by way of Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. He is 29 years of age. He holds a 6-8 mixed martial arts record, with 3 of those wins by way of finish, half of his wins by way of finish. He is 5-8 overall as a mixed martial artist in the Rising Fighting Federation, and just came off of a decision win over Yuki Ito back on September 27th at Rising 51. But when it comes down to this fight, I mean, in case you didn't get the point by now, it's 2 under 500 fighters looking to get into top positioning. I mean, if you look at this fight, Taylor, who probably needs to win more? Is it Erson or is it Hiroya?
Yeah, it's basically two journeyman fighters fighting each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was impressive that Yamamoto has a win on Ito, but in general, he was lost by finish a lot. And Kondo is a good fighter, arguably, but he normally loses by decision.
Mhm.
So it's tough to say who will win here. It's not the best fight on paper, honestly.
I mean, come to think of it, you probably know. I mean, I know you probably don't watch a lot of big time ball sports, but it's kind of like two bad teams going against each other. You just know that once these two teams, you just know that once these two teams meet up, you can throw the rule book out the window or throw the records out the window.
Yeah, like it could be a good fight, right?
Yeah,
Like they both have a lot of losses yet keep fighting, so they clearly don't give a shit.
well, of
So,
course they don't.
but if I had to guess, I think Yamamoto coming off a win will have a bit more confidence and he has less damage done to him, like having at least 10 less fights as well. So if I had to guess, flip a coin, I'd probably say Yamamoto will win.
I mean, I can understand that, especially considering the fact that in the case of recent familial history, dude still got three more finishes than his mom ever could get. And as far as you, Azur, and oh, by the way, Andrew said something. Of course, I know Taylor and Azur. Thank you for following me. I hope to see you back in Roman combat, Taylor.
Thank you.
Okay, and Azur is basically waiting in the wings just to talk again. But when it comes down to Erson, Azur, you know, you got to think that dude 6-8, and he's probably pissed off that he didn't get the opportunity to shine in the Rising Flyweight Grand Prix last year as much as Hiroya did. Do you think that Erson's gonna probably come into this fight with a vengeance?
I think so. And first, like I said, I did my quick study on these guys. For some like a lower level fight, there's sure a lot of talking going back and forth, right? So when you go and try to do a little background and learn about the fighters, there's a lot of film going on about them talking about each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it interesting right there. And why does it have such a high place on the card?
It's because of the fact, and this might shock you a bit, Azura, but
Okay.
it's because of the fact that Rising, for lack of a better term, and this is also the same thing with Kyohei Hagiwara, no matter how bad a fighter is record wise, and in North America, records matter more than anything else, especially if you have nothing in the loss column. But, no matter how bad you are as a fighter, the people will still give you love and credibility
That's
if you,
awesome.
yeah, that is awesome. But they'll still give you love and credibility if you fight worth the damn. And I think that's the case when it comes down to all fights. If you fight worth a damn, you will get bought back. Nobody wants a half-ass performance. Basically, have to pay to see it.
Well, that being said, I like the dogfight aspect of this. I think they both got a chip on their shoulder. I think they both want to do each other out. I think they love the visibility. So that always is very surprising when you just see them go at it. So from that perspective, I do think Erson's coming in with a lot more fire, and isn't he the older fighter? Right, he's quite a bit older.
Um, yeah, actually, he is. I mean, I am looking at this topology thing right now. Yeah, he's a little bit older by almost 2 years.
Oh, only 2 years. Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like a lot of, commentary I was listening to with the Japanese people talking about this fight. They seem to favor Erson being more aggressive. So it'll be interesting to see. And, like I said, I don't know much. So it's kind of fun sometimes to watch a fight when you don't know a lot because you're just ready to see it go on, right? You're just ready to see what happens. You're like, let's go. And then the surprises are more fun. So being a newer fan and a newer fan of this promotion, it is exciting to see people you don't know a lot about just to see what will occur.
Oh yeah, especially considering the fact that, again, this is a fight between two under 500 fighters, and they are basically just looking to, I wouldn't say throw caution to the wind and just basically go all out. They just basically want to, fight to gain that crowd support and to gain the opportunity to be better in their careers, right?
Definitely. That'll be, and like I said, nice position on the card, lots of eyes on them, so good for them.
Mm-hmm. And as far as this fight goes, I'm kind of undecided, but I will say this, it doesn't matter if these two guys are under 500. The fans are expecting a show, and I hope they get one off of it. And, we can go ahead and continue on and talk about the... Oh, and you know what? Oh, by the way, Azuré, I forgot to even ask about a prediction from you. I'm sorry that I basically didn't get to ask any predictions from you, but, do you have a prediction on this fight between Hiroya and Erson?
No.
It's okay.
Is it fun, Taylor, to have someone that's kind of new to all this? I'm like, let's see. And then my fandom, my knowledge is going to grow so fast. I'll be picking sides soon, okay? And then you're also talking to a fight fan who hangs out with a lot of bettors who doesn't bet, okay? But I love that you're a fighter, Taylor. Big fan of fighters. My dad, like you said, he was such a high dan in Aikido. He just wanted to teach. He was actually trained by Morihei Ueshiba. And
Oh wow.
yeah, we lived in Japan. He had such respect for teaching that after the dam was high enough to teach, he stopped, right? And he sadly died of stomach cancer at age 49. And the impact he had on people as a fighter and a person who loved to fight and teach just everybody, he had standing room only for the church when he died. So
I'm sorry to hear that, but that's amazing.
And so I was brought up with, I'm very athletic. I'm not so much anymore, too many injuries, but I was brought up with a lot of body, mind, mentality. So I really, really live vicariously through these fights. So a lot of times I'm rooting for the underdog or the person who scraps back. So that's what I hope in this fight. So that's my no prediction yet. Just let's see a scrap.
Understandable. Like the vast majority of fans of MMA, they have like no knowledge of martial arts. So you know a lot more than the majority of fans, I'd say.
I was raised, and when I went to did martial arts and did any kind of activity, I was shocked that Western people did not know where their center was, right? They said, get into your center, move for your center. And they were all crooked, signing sideways. And my dad did exercises with his kids, like, don't let me pick you up. Don't let me bend your arm, right? Don't let me do this. And, I'm sad that I lost him when I was only 14, but I did take some classes with him, and he was only 5'3", 140 pounds. But, with Aikido, right? Size doesn't matter, right?
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, but we were right in the, we took our whole family to Japan to study under Mr. Ueshiba. So pretty, and then my background on both sides, Taylor, is samurai. I'm samurai heritage on both sides of my grandparents. So that's 4 different samurai families. So when
That's
I
incredible.
discovered combat sports, and I always watched Bruce Lee and this kind of stuff and did some martial arts. But when I discovered this, I'm like, I found my home.
Oh yeah, it's literally in your blood. That's awesome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Great to meet you too. Yeah, and my dad did kendo too, kendo and judo.
Oh yeah. And let's go ahead and continue and talk about the rest of the fight card now, because now we're getting to the before intermission portion, and this before intermission portion, it's a bit of a doozy. You got the first 8 fights taking place on the card. Well, let's face it, no one cares about the kickboxing fight. The first 7 fights taking place on the main card. And, right before the intermission, you got Johnny Hollywood Case versus 7-fight Pancrase veteran TENYA, TENYA Yoshimura. YOSHIMURA. As far as the man from Las Vegas by way of Jefferson City, Iowa, USA goes, Johnny Case. He is 37 years of age, 5'10", 157 pounds. He weighed in at 157.3 for his last fight, which was a no contest win over Juri Ohara back at the Rizin Super Show in Korea, South Korea in particular, last May. He took a year off after the no contest, which was his second consecutive disappointing result after losing to the Black Panther Benoa back at Rizin 47 back in June of 2024. So, he's basically getting his fill of a fight a year. But, it's not basically off a lack of trying. Either way, he has a professional MMA record of 29, 10, and 1, with 25 of those wins. Well, actually, yeah, let me check. 14 wins via knockout in the first round, 4, then 1. So that is... shit. I'm sorry if I'm just doing this on the fly. But still, though, dude's got 25 finishes out of 29 wins. He's 5-4 in Rizin. And again, he's coming back off back-to-back disappointing results in the last 2 years. And, with the fact that he's got 9 fights in Rizin, he's probably one of the more accomplished Gaijin or foreign-born competitors to have competed under the superior rule set since this promotion started back in 2015. But still, though, it's basically, the longevity for him and just basically doing this. Yeah, it sucks that he basically had to go through these back-to-back disappointing results, but, that comes part of the territory, unfortunately. And his opponent, TENYA Yoshimura, again, TENYA, fighting out of Shunan, Yamaguchi, Japan. 5 wins, 3 losses. He's 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 164.2 pounds, at least for his last fight. He is 0-1 in Rizin, mostly because of the fact that he lost to Nurkan Tsumagazi back at Rizin Landmark 13 on April 11th. And not only that, he weighed in a whole division bigger than his opponent, Tsumagazi, who was coming into this fight, weighing 157 pounds, just basically feeling the vibes of being the next Eastern European to run through Rizin like a buzzsaw. But, it's like what Johnny Case says to me. It's basically like what Johnny said to me during the interview that I recently had with him, which, if you're watching or listening to this, you can check out the interview that I had with him on the most recent episode of Focus Fights Audio in the episode description of this show, or, just check the bylaws and dialogues. But still, though, when you gain weight against an opponent, you have a bigger upswing compared to your opponent. So, both of these fighters coming off of weight misses. Johnny Case coming off of missing weight by 1/3 of a pound. TENYA coming in off of a 6-pound weight miss. Well, 6.5-pound weight miss. Who do you think? This is probably going to be at 157 pounds, and it is at 157 pounds. But Taylor, considering the fact that your body mass probably has to be a little bit higher, considering the fact that you are a heavyweight yourself, but when it comes down to these two fighters missing weight, what do you think needs to be the main focus here aside from them making weight?
Yeah, it's pretty tough, right? The Japanese are pretty unforgiving when you miss weight. So both of them missing weight, they really got to get it under control. But I have cut weight. I have fought at 180 pounds, 185 pounds. I did big weight cuts to make those weights, and I made weight every time. But honestly, you have to diet for like 2 months straight, and you got to kill yourself in the sauna or the bath, and it's just like straight mental toughness to even make weight. And we have a 1 pound allowance, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they have that in Japan, Horizon. So, dang, they really got to be strict.
Oh yeah, of course. But when it comes down to this particular fight, you got Johnny Case versus Tenya Yoshimura. I mean, Case is going to come in as the durable veteran. Obviously, if you're a fan of his work from the UFC, you know damn well that he basically done all he could to continue his career after the bright lights of the octagon basically shown him away. But still, though, when it comes down to Johnny Case, do you think that veteran capability is going to have to snap in order to, stop the hold of the young buck Tenya?
I think so. Yeah, like I love Johnny Case. He's been around forever, and he's a good fighter. Been in, UFC, PFL, etc. Uh, I don't know if Yoshimura is ready for that level of experience. As long as Johnny Case's mind is locked in and he's ready to die that day, I think he's a lot better fighter. And he's coming off, a good performance, minus the no contest.
Oh, yeah, of course. Now, Azur, when it comes down to Tenya in this case, I mean, the dude is the youngest opponent that Johnny Case has faced off against in his career at 22 years and I think 4 months old. But when it comes down, no, it actually 22 years, 2 months old. But when it comes down to that youth over experience part, what do you think that Tenya is going to have to do to outlast the veteran?
When it comes to skill set, what are the strengths of Case and Tenya, like versus?
I would think that in the case of Tenya, I mean, the dude's only fought 8 fights as a professional, but I think he has a better finishing ratio compared to his opponents, especially considering the fact that it's like, I would think around 80% finishing ratio.
Oh, okay. And is he hands or ground or everything?
He has 3 wins via knockout, one via submission. So it's mostly a way of him grounding and pounding you out.
Okay. And then what about Case? What's his like strengths, or what is he?
Case is a boxer, wrestler, and a brawler. I mean, he's took some time away from mixed martial arts during the pandemic to do professional boxing.
Okay. So this is once again, probably, I mean, the youth, the cardio, the lack of damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over experience. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always and like in the 3-letter promotion, they do that on purpose, right? To get rid of the old guy. So here, I think they have respect for the Mr. Case here, having been the, veteran in Ryzen. So it's just going to be a matter of probably energy and stamina and maybe just lack, like I said, less damage versus someone using their IQ.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering the fact that, again, Yoshimura is coming in the much younger competitor. I mean, Johnny Case spoke to me the other day and basically said, "Oh, this is my 25th year being a fighter. I basically fought disciplines all over the world, and I'm just ready to basically bust my ass." Is basically what he said.
And that's what Tenya's going to know, right? That all the damage, the years, and just age. You get to, was he 37, right, Case? You said?
Yeah, Case
Yeah.
is 37 years of age.
So we've seen it go both ways, where all of a sudden there's a miraculous resurgence in the later 30s versus a falling off, right? So it's probably at that point where you either see him cruise a little bit longer or you see a drop off, and that's going to be more evident when you have such a younger fighter.
Oh, yeah, of course, especially considering the fact that, again, this is just this is basically age of experience. And while I do think that Case will win just off of experience alone, I won't be surprised if the youth factor comes into play for Tenya.
Especially if he likes violence.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. If that's his MO, it could be the thing that gets it done.
Yeah, of course. And Taylor, do you got any more things to say about this fight before we move on?
I got two things to say.
Okay.
I think, to speak like a Westerner, I think Johnny Case is going to kick his ass. Number two, this is going to be controversial. I hate ground and pound TKO stoppages in Japan, especially on the regional scene. You literally get in a good position and land 5 or 10 strikes, sometimes even 3, and the ref stops the fight. So there's so many regional fighters that have ground and pound TKOs, and my eyes roll when I see these fights. So I never saw Yoshimura's finishes in the pancrase, but if they were those fast TKO on the ground, like, I don't rate them that much,
I mean, come to think of it, I can understand ground and pound TKOs not being that big of a thing in Japanese MMA, but especially in pancrase, and that promotion's been around since February of 1993. I mean, you have to think that there would be more violence in those knockouts, especially from all those old pancrase videos that everybody used to tape trade back in the day.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, But every week, every month, let's say, when the highlight videos come out of the regional fights around Japan, I'm studying them all.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the lamest strategies to me is just, take a guy down and land a couple of ground and pound strikes and the ref stops the fight. Yet in stand up, they'll literally let you fight to the death and they'll never wave a fight off in standing, which is so much more damaging to our brains, So that's it.
Understood. And with that, we can go ahead and move on and talk about the two. Let's not talk about these two fights, back to back. Let's talk about these two fights that are coming up a la carte, because we mentioned earlier that the HIME versus Ayane Hirata fight could potentially be, a Atomweight Grand Prix reserve. And in this case, the Atomweight fight, well, actually, the Ryzen Women's Super Atomweight Championship, that's at 108 pounds or 49 kilos, is currently vacated because Seika Izawa is about to be a new mother within the next year or so. So, you got a bunch of hungry ladies basically wanting to get after the belt. And, these two fights are going to be proof positive of that, in addition to the prelim that we just talked about over an hour ago. And in this case, it's Saori Oshima, Saori Oshima, Oshima, versus Yi Ji Lee, Yejilee. And in the bout before that, it's Siwoo Park versus Moeri Suda, the Korean Queen Bee versus Moeri Suda. Now, for the particulars on the Oshima versus Lee fight, the little giant Saori Oshima is under 5 feet, 4 feet 11 inches tall, weighs in at 105 and a quarter pounds. She holds a professional mixed martial arts record of 16 wins with 7 losses, 10 of those wins by way of finish. She is 5-1 in the Rising Fighting Federation and fights out of Hamada, Shimane, Japan. Her opponent is Yi Ji Lee, 5 feet 1 inch tall, 106.9 pounds. 7 and 8 with 2 finishes, making her Rising debut after fighting 7 fights in Road FC and a few more in Deep, and fighting notable names like Satoko Shinase, Hisai Watanabe, Ayaka Hamasaki, and ironically enough, the fighter who will be fighting before her, Moeri Suda. Oh, and YJL fights out of Hoennong. I'm sorry if I get these Korean names messed up. Hoenseong County, Gangwon, South Korea. Now, as far as Siwoo Park versus Moeri Suda goes, Park, the Korean Queen Bee, modeled after Miyu Yamamoto, 5 feet 2 inches tall, 107 pounds, 13 and 6 with 3 knockouts is her professional MMA record. She is 3 and 1 in Rising and returns to the Rising Fighting Federation after a 3.5-year absence. She hails from Seoul, South Korea, and lost to Seika Izawa in the women's atomweight Grand Prix final back in 2022. Her opponent, the Black Diamond, who not only fought for Rising more recently, but also fought for Black Combats out of South Korea, that is Moeri Suda. 5 feet 2, 104 and a third pounds, 15 and 7 is her overall record, with 10 of those wins by way of finish. She holds a 2-0 Rising record and returns to the promotion after nearly a year away. Siwoo Park is from Seoul, South Korea. Moeri, the Black Diamond Suda, fights out of Osaka, Japan. Now, after all that rambling out of me, let's just compare these two fights here, especially considering what we mentioned in the opener about the prelim that is also in the same weight class. You know, these two sets of fights are basically looking to prove their dominance. And oh, by the way, this just so happens to be a tournament for the Women's Super Atomweight Championship that is now vacant. Who do you see potentially making some noise off of these two fights? And, you know, do you think that one of these two fights could be at a disadvantage? Azuré, since you're the lone woman on this panel, you start first in this case.
So are we talking about just the all 4 fighters, like, or you, because you mentioned the, Saori Oshima versus Yi Ji Lee and Moeri Suda versus Siwoo Park, right?
Yeah.
So
all
are
4.
you doing like the round, or you just like per match?
Yeah, we're basically just doing this per fight.
Okay. From what like I said, I'm learning about these fighters. I really like Suda. But I know that Siwoo Park, from what I've heard or what I've seen, she's a fighter, right? You know, come in and try to dominate. But I'm going to be favoring, like you, Taylor, for your Italian blood. I'm going to be favoring the Japanese, as I always do. But I like Suda. Is it Suda? She's pretty good on the ground, right? She's ground fighter. Yep. So I like the little ones when they go for the ground, right? When they do the subs. My favorite, because they're very skilled. I think a lot of these Japanese women, when I see their ground game, their transitions are quite good, right? And as far as Saori Oshima, she's my height, so. But I know that both Siwoo Park and Yi Ji are Korean, right?
Yep, they are.
Yeah, they have the dog in them, I must say, generally speaking. So it's just going to be and then now with the tournament, can you explain that? Do they like then fight each other later, or how do they determine the winner of the tournament between these fights?
Well, the thing is, when it comes down to the upcoming events for the Rising Fighting Federation, and in this case, it's 4 fights stretched out across 3 events.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think the next fight that's going to take place in the women's Atomweight Grand Prix, if you want to call it that, the next fight taking place in the women's tournament is Kate Lotus Oyama versus Noelle Narita. That'll be at Rising 54 on August 11th in Tokyo. That'll
I
also.
am looking forward to that fight
Mm-hmm.
very
I'm
much.
I'm looking forward to the fight too. And at Super Rising 5 at the Kyocera Dome in Osaka on September 10th, that'll see the return of Reina Kubota taking on Natasha Kuziutina. And in this case, Kuziutina, American top team trained, former Olympic medalist, she wants to prove to the world that she can outwit and outlast the shoot boxing goddess.
Okay. Yeah. So I like the build up. And like I said, now I'll be locked in on these fights. So interesting to see how those dynamics work. And once again, you don't really see in the other promotions, and you don't see this weight class, and you don't also see the ground skills. So I'm super excited to see that. Now, are both Siwoo Park and Yuji Lee, are they both also good on the ground, or are they more strikers?
I mean, I think from what I've seen of them previously, especially when it comes down to the Korean Queen Bee, Siwoo Park, they're more strikers.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. So I like the dynamic, and I just like obviously being in Japan, I like the fan base for the Japanese women.
Okay, understood. And Taylor, what are your thoughts about these two fights now that I've pretty much explained the dichotomy of what's going on?
I agree. I'm pretty excited for this tournament. It's pretty cool. They have some skilled females fighting, and I'm a bit biased too that I will go for the Japanese fighters. I think in Oshima versus Lee, I think Oshima will win easily. She's very experienced and she's a good fighter. And in the Siwoo Park versus Suda, that'll be a closer fight. Park from Korea is very good, very talented. But I like Suda too. She's got good submission skills. She's cool. So I think it'll be a very close fight, but I'll pick Suda here. Why not?
Well,
Yes.
well, I mean, I know I'm familiar with the phrase, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog, especially when it comes down to the Oshima versus Lee fight. I mean, I think that at 31 years of age, the second oldest of the four women's competitors on this card, I think that Oshima, despite being outwoman, no, I wouldn't say outwomaned, more like outwit, so to speak, as far as height goes. Yeah, she's gonna come in at a bit size disadvantage, but she's gonna also want to come in and just beat Yi Lee senseless because, let's face it, YJL is coming into Rising off of the back of a 7-fight stint in Road FC, which is the top promotion. Road Fighting Championship is the top promotion out of South Korea. And I do think that, YJL not understanding what's going on in Rising, not understanding, the basic nuances other than the fact that you could soccer kick an opponent the same way in Road as you do in Rising. I mean, I think she's going to be at a slight disadvantage. Now, as far as Siwoo Park versus Moeri Suda goes, yes, this is going to be a fun fight, but you have to remember, Siwoo Park hasn't been in Rising in almost 4 years. I mean, it's been like crazy that she's even been given the chance to come back, but yet she's improved herself in Deep. She's improved herself in other promotions throughout both South Korea and Japan. So, you know, it's been 3 years or damn near 4. Might as well go ahead and do what you did when you first came in and just prove that dominance of being a true crazy bee fighter. Which, of course, I said again, She's modeled after Miyu Yamamoto, but unlike Miyu Yamamoto, at least she can actually finish someone. So, do either of y'all have any predictions on this fight, Azura? Azura?
I like Taylor's predictions. I like Oshima. Well, I think that's when you predicted, right, Taylor? Oshima.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she'll win easily, to be honest.
Yeah.
Their
Yes,
fight will
I
be
like
much
that.
closer.
And I'm rooting. I don't know if I have a prediction per se, but I'm rooting for Suda.
Understood, understood. So I guess we can all agree to disagree on, the Suda versus Park fight, right? But we all in agreement with Oshima versus EJ Lee, right?
Yep.
I think a betting man would probably bet on Siwoo Park,
Exactly.
but
Well, yeah.
that's not what we're here for, you know? We're gonna
No,
vote
Well,
with our heart.
So the good thing about me, I'm part learning, getting pretty sharp on things, but I got big fangirls, so that's what makes it fun for me. I'm still, new enough
Nice.
to it, and girly enough to be like fangirl material. I
under,
really love fights, yeah. So yeah.
understood. I can totally understand that. I mean, obviously, I've been fanboying for a lot of these fighters for a long ass time. So, I can totally understand you on that. But now, let's go ahead and get on to the rest of the fights on this card. And in this case, we got a really strange matchup coming up. And that is the Samurai, Shoji Maruyama versus Yabaidaro, the dangerous one, Genji Umeno. Now, in the case of the former kickboxer turned mixed martial artist who just basically wants to close out his 30s with some damn good scraps instead of just basically saying, hey, I want to basically fight for a title and yada yada yada. For Yabaidaro, Genji Umeno, fighting out of Edogawa, Tokyo, Japan. He's 5 feet 11 inches tall, 134 pounds. He is 37 years of age, born December 13th, 1988. His mixed martial arts record is 2-1. But don't let that 2-1 record fool you just off of MMA alone. His record in Rise Fighting Federation competition is actually 5-3 with one no contest across boxing, kickboxing, and mixed martial arts. And of course, he basically fought exhibition boxing on New Year's Eve, and that was a pretty fun time for him. His opponent, Shoji Maruyama, the samurai, who just goes by that first name, SHOJI, he holds a mixed martial arts record of 19 wins, 18 losses, and one draw, with 14 of those 19 wins by way of knockout. However, he also holds the unfortunate distinction of a 1-5 record in the superior rule set and returns to Rising after nearly 2.5 years away, despite being on a 4-fight losing streak. I mean, you gotta admit, this ain't just a who do you think's gonna win this match type of case, because let's face it, this fight is only just for Genji Umeno to get showcased. But let's just say this. Taylor, you go first, then Azure. What's it gonna take for Shoji Maruyama to actually break his stride?
In this fight, it's gonna take a Conor McGregor level accident by Genji because Genji Umeno is a killer, and I see a round one knockout.
Are you sure about that?
100%. Like honestly, Shoji losing streak, so many fights, a lot of wear and tear and damage. He's not doing well in Ryzen, though he does have the one win, which I think was a knockout. So Maybe he
Yeah,
could land that big
yeah.
punch.
Surprisingly, it was a knockout against Chihiro Suzuki.
Wow. Yeah, anyone can win a fight. Don't get me wrong, but you can kind of tell when a fight is set up for. It looks like the inexperienced fighter versus the veteran fighter, but really, if you count all this guy's striking fights, Genji Umeno is a savage.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Especially given the fact that he's a former kickboxer and shoot boxer.
I mean, strategy-wise, if I was in Shoji's corner, I'd say you take him down, hold him down, try to submit him. But can he do that in real life?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it means a lot to basically do that shit in training, but can you do that in an actual fight? Now, Azur, when it comes down to this fight, I know that you're probably a big fan of Genji Umeno, but let's just say this. This is supposed to be one of his last fights. He wants to go out with a bang after the new year. But let's just say this. If he does win this fight, who do you think would be next in line for him?
I don't know enough to give an answer for that. So, or do you think that they want to just lay him up to the end?
I mean, he said himself that he wants to do a couple of more fights and then he's going to hang up the gloves.
But do you think the promotion wants him to have easier fights to go out looking good, or do they not care? Because it looks like with this one, that's what they want.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know. Taylor, your thoughts?
This never mind layup. This is like an alley oop. Genji's gonna poster that guy.
So do you
But
think, Taylor, that they want to send him off like, into his retirement looking good, going out strong with no chance of,
hey,
having a
that would be
bad
my
fight?
dream.
Yeah, right?
Let me go
Well,
out with a big highlight reel win, and if
yeah.
he does continue to fight, I'm not sure who he would fight. If I was going to be a biased Canadian, I'd say let Tony Laramie beat him up.
Oh, geez. Good old Tony.
I mean, keep in mind, this fight is contested at 141 pounds or 64 kilos. So, it's going to have to take at least a lot of good eating. Well, not a lot of good eating, but basically just a little bit of meat on the bones for the wild man from Windsor to basically beat up Genji Umeno.
True.
But I get your point on that, Taylor. I mean, in this case, if Genji wants to go out, bowing out gracefully on his high horse, I would hope that they get somebody that can appeal to both him and to the rising audience because, as long as they can basically have his career go out and just basically say, oh, he fought easy opponents on the way out.
No, we don't want that for him. Not, but like Taylor said, this is a value.
I get what you mean. But still don't.
How old is he, Genji?
Oh, Genji Umeno is 37 years old. He's born December 13th, 1988. And
How old was that guy on the last card? Was it Yusuke? Yashi? That guy's old. Is he older, right? Yusuke?
Yashi? I think he's a little bit younger, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and check real quick. But I do know that SHOJI Maruyama is 43 years old. It's like he's more closer to retirement more than anything.
Yeah, he is the old dude. You're right.
And Yusuke Yachi is 36.
I like him.
I mean, I'm a fan of him too. Don't get me wrong. But still, though, when it comes down to Genji Umeno, if you were to basically say, if he were to retire tomorrow, What would you think? Do you think that if he were to lay the gloves down after, I mean, if he were to lose this fight against Shoji, would you say that his career has been complete, or would you say that it still needs a little more work?
No, I think he's good. Maybe that's why they do in this, right, Taylor? Maybe they just have the alley oop, and that way he can decide on a flashy win, or well, not on a loss. I don't think I'd like to see him lose this one.
Agreed. Like I hate the contrast in the UFC where, you're a good fighter getting older, aging out. Oh, let's feed you to this undefeated 24-year-old and you get knocked out in your last fight ever. It like
Yeah,
takes
I don't
away
like
from
that either. I don't
everything.
like that they do that. I don't like that they do that. I love when the older guy schools the younger one. I love that one.
Yeah, exactly. And since this is Japan, he's
Mhm.
2-1 versus a guy with like 30 or 40 fights. It makes sense. Let him fight this guy. Hopefully he wins, and if he lays down the gloves, he's done enough. He has a lot of fights.
Yeah, I agree. So this gives him an option to do so or not.
Hmm. I mean, especially considering the fact that, like we all agreed to, Umeno doesn't have a lot of mileage left on the truck. I mean, he just wants to basically ride it till the wheels fall off. And I think that if Umeno does get this win over Shoji, he'll have at least a little leeway to see how he has his final ride. If not,
Exactly. Mhm.
if not, then best wishes to you, Ueno, in your future endeavors.
Without going out with all damaged stuff. I hate that. I hate that when they just won't stop.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that in Rising, it kind of reminds people of the Shinya Aoki versus Kazushi Sakuraba fight that happened in 2015. That was basically a sad sight for sore eyes. But still, though, let's go ahead and continue on now that we got 3 fights left to put over, including one fight that was basically at the last minute. Hiroaki Suzuki will be taking on Hyuga Minagawa. Hiroaki Suzuki, the monster killer, versus Hyuga Minagawa. For Suzuki, he is, and I'm just basically doing this right off the bat, so excuse me for just basically having piss poor research. But still, though, this fight will be contested at featherweight, 145 pounds, 66 kilos. Suzuki, 6-6 as a professional mixed martial artist. He also is a former kickboxer, shoot boxer, and Muay Thai kickboxer. He is 41 years of age, born December 6th, 1984, fighting out of Toyohashi, Aichi, Japan. He has a 6-6 record. Again, 4 of his 6 wins are by way of knockout. All 12 of his fights have been in the Rising Fighting Federation ring or cage, and his last 2 fights have been decision wins against Sora Yamamoto back at Rising Landmark 11 via unanimous decision, against Yuele Huang back at Rising 51 via split decision in a fight that was pretty much unanimous, depending on how you slice it. And that was off of the back of a 3-fight losing streak. His opponent, Hyuga Minagawa, 7-7. Oh Lord, 6. I hate this meme. 6-7 meme. It fucking sucks. But still, though, Minagawa, 24 years of age, born July 12th, 2002. So happy belated birthday to him. Ojambo Tanjobi, fighting out of Shiga, Japan, representing Kyohei Hagiwara's Smoker Gym. Out of his 7 wins, 4 of those 7 come by way of knockout. He is 2-0 inside the Rising Fighting Federation ring. Well, not the ring, the cage where he usually resides, as he knocked out Shinsuke Mitsubara and he defeated Seiya Inoue back at Rising Landmark 13. Prior to that, Rising Landmark 12 was when he got the Matsubara knockout. So, in this unfortunate meme-worthy fight, you got the old man, Suzuki in this case, just looking to have more crazy fights as he does crazy entrances versus Minagawa, who was just trying to look to shake the monkey off his back. He, again, just turned 24 about a week ago. So, Taylor, when it comes down to this fight, who do you see winning this? The guy with the most experience in Suzuki versus the young guy in Minagawa who's just looking to basically prove he belongs?
Yeah, it's it's a pretty decent fight in terms of matchmaking. They have basically the same record. They both are on a couple wins in Ryzen.
Mm-hmm.
The main problem here is going to be that age discrepancy. Like a 41-year-old versus a 24-year-old. That's a huge gap. So I hope Suzuki wins. That's inspiring to me that a guy in his fourth decade can win in one of the biggest shows in the world. But realistically, likely Miyagawa.
I mean, are you sure? Especially considering the fact that Suzuki is a former two-time shoot boxing tournament champion?
It's hard to say. Like he has a lot of fights in Ryzen, right? Like his whole pro record is Ryzen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of experience. He faced a lot of good competition. Whereas Miyagawa, he didn't have like the best record on the regional scene, but then he won two fights in Ryzen. One of them was against like a guy whose record wasn't that good. So that's what I'm saying. I hope Suzuki will win. But that age difference will play a factor if it gets out of if it goes to round two, round three, then it could make a difference.
I see. And Azure, I know that. Well, I don't know how big of a fan you are of Hiroaki Suzuki. I mean, I just basically have to ask. I just basically have to ask you in this case. When it comes down to the old man fighting, and we basically opined on this when it came down to Genji Umeno, but do you see Suzuki having at least a decent advantage?
I hope so. Like Taylor was saying, with the experience, because sometimes the IQ, knowing what to do, when to do, can be very impressive. So I hope that for him, especially after such especially against such a young fighter, right? Because everybody's going to be like old guy. So they're either going to say the old guy doesn't have it, or let's see him use his experience.
Mm-hmm.
So being that he is older, I hope that for him, only because his time is limited, right? So it would be a class act to see him execute those years of experience and teach the young guy a lesson.
Hell yeah.
You
The
know what?
fans would like. I think the fans would like that.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that, especially if there are fans that still cling on to, you know, that still kind of cling on to Suzuki. They would
Yeah,
definitely say.
yeah. It's good
And
for
it's
the
not
sport.
like he's over the hill, right? Like he's older, but he is on a two-fight winning streak, so that's amazing.
Exactly. But you have to also realize, Minagawa is going to have the at least one fight advantage, or at least the two fight advantage as far as experience go, despite the fact that Suzuki is obviously a longtime veteran of shoot boxing and that damned one championship. but yeah, I basically waited a while to say that shit. But still, though, I think that Suzuki's gonna have that advantage as far as age goes, and I think that when this is all said and done, I won't be surprised if Suzuki's hand gets raised. Now, do y'all have anything else to say about this fight before we move on?
Nope.
I just remembered
Oh, sorry,
actually
Taylor.
sorry. I just remembered the Miyagawa versus last opponent, the Inoue. That guy was like a pro debut earlier in the year, and it went to decision. So I know that guy was a kickboxer, but like if you can't finish a guy making his pro debut and you're an experienced fighter, a rising fighter, like that's not a good look. So I would give the advantage to the older guy.
Oh yeah, of course. And Azur, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. And speaking of more old guys, unfortunately we have one more fight to talk about as far as older guys go. And what do you know? It's in the rare unicorn known as the 170-pound weight division in Ryzen, because we all know Ryzen doesn't really do any big name fights in divisions that are 70 kilos and up. I mean, yeah, they do a lot of good fights in the lightweight division. It's just that when it comes down to the welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and even heavyweight divisions, it's just sad. It really is, because we don't see a lot of these great names fight in the 170-pound weight class in Ryzen. And, it's a crying shame. But still, though, we got Terao Supernova, Megumi Fuji's husband, Shinji Sasaki, versus Yuta Rice Hayashi. For Shinji Sasaki, 20 wins, 14 losses, 3 draws, with I think I might need some glasses, to be honest with you. 20 wins, 14 losses, 3 draws, with 15 of those wins by way of finish. He is 46 years old. Born May 2nd, 1980, fighting out of Fukuyama, Hiroshima, Japan. So he's basically back just to fill seats. He's basically back to put asses in seats, so to speak. 5'9", 160 pounds, representing Burst. He has most of his experience in Shudo. He is a current Garachan, or a former Garachan lightweight champion. But everybody's known him for getting beat the hell up in Ryzen. He got knocked out by Darren Cruikshank a decade ago. And most recently, he lost in Ryzen to Sho Patrick Usami about 4 years ago. His most recent fight was a loss to a South Korean guy. So, kind of sucks for him. His opponent, Yota Rice Hayashi. Y-O-T-A is how you spell his first name. 12 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, with 6 of those 12 wins by way of finish. 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. He represents Paresta Higashi Osaka, fighting out of Tondabayashi, Osaka, Japan. 32 years of age, born January 2nd, 1993, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 170 pounds. He will come in with the actual youth advantage in this fight. And he's also making his Ryzen debut off the back of becoming the Garachan welterweight champion, and also beating former Ryzen fighter Daryl Lukoku, while also losing to Ryzen veteran Bilal Kaihaga. Did I mention he's coming off of a 2-fight winning streak? Oh yeah, but still though, point is, as I blabbed enough, Taylor, you fight at 185, maybe 205. Am I right?
Yeah, I've like in the early Canadian fights, I cut it to middleweight, but my fights in Japan, they're at two. One was at 205 and one was at 209 catch weight.
Oh, right. So basically light heavyweight or cruiserweight. But still, though, when it comes down to Ryzen and the 170-pound weight division, do you think that Ryzen needs to have more are these big time fights past 71 kilograms?
I think so. I don't see a reason why they can't have more fights at 170, have fights at 185, have fights at 205. I get that everyone gets lumped into the open weight division, and guys in Japan don't really cut weight like that, and they like a smaller 200-pound size guy who's fat, maybe 220, fighting a guy who's 300 pounds. But 170 is like that perfect middle ground where guys are super fast, yet they're super athletic and strong. And look at Georges St. Pierre, one of the best fighters in history. He was a welterweight, and if only Ryzen existed, he would never have been able to fight. So let's do more of these fights.
Oh yeah, of course. But going back to this particular fight, you got Hayashi versus Shinji Sasaki. As I said, dude is married to one of the greatest women's fighters of all time in Megumi Fuji. And, I think that his days are better spent being a family man. But to be honest, do you really think that the old man Sasaki has a little more left in the tank against the young gun Hayashi?
I don't think he has a damn chance. I'm sorry.
Why is that?
Just the, he's just too long in the tooth now. He hasn't fought in Ryzen in a long time. He has 2 losses in Ryzen, right? Like I'm just double
Mm-hmm.
checking his record.
Mm-hmm.
He had a fight 2 years ago. It went to decision. First to 10-3. That's a good fighter. And before that, he fought Sho Patrick Usami, who's a killer. So he knows how to fight. He's got a lot of experience. But then you're going against a Grachon champion. By the way, I'm really good friends with the Grachon in real life. They're a good
Oh,
promotion. So I respect the fact that Rice won the title there, and I think he's going to use that momentum to secure his first Ryzen victory.
oh yeah, of course. And I mean, to be honest, if Hayashi gets the win over Shinji Sasaki, who's had big time fights against Daisuke Nakamura, Nobumitsu Tyson Osawa, Aso Kwan, or Aso Kwan as the Koreans say, and obviously the losses to Darren Cruikshank and Sho Patrick Usami, what good way to have a feather in your cap to basically say, hey, I want Ryzen to advocate for a welterweight division than basically beating one of the most experienced competitors on this or any roster. And Azura, considering the fact that I know you're probably not really much of a fan of the old man fights, but as I mentioned before, Sasaki is just basically on this fight card to be a seat filler. But do you think that, Hayashi could basically be, excuse me, a future star in the making should he defeat Sasaki?
Especially doing it on home soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because,
Because you said, and I heard something in the interviews, he's coming back just because it's in Hiroshima, right? So, and the seat filler, and then to come in as the debuting fire, right? Rachan champion, come
mm-hmm.
defeat the old veteran at home, respectable either way. So, and Suzuki knows that, right? He
Mm-hmm.
knows he's the seat filler, but he's going to have family and friends in the house, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
career long, respected, and good setup for Miyagawa if that's the case. A
Mm-hmm.
miracle, in terms of Taylor's opinion, if Suzuki pulls it off. Um, and also good for him being that weight class is not very, like you said, not very popular. I mean, there's some big Japanese guys, right? You don't have to have all small people. So maybe good to build up Hayashi based on the fact that is the weight class they're fighting at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially considering the fact that, again, 170 pounds, as Taylor mentioned, is definite middle ground for a lot of MMA fighters. I mean, it's not really at 185 pounds; it's 170 that, that needs the most help when it comes down to rising.
Yeah, and just so you know, just being the younger generation, there are a lot of bigger guys, right? There are some bigger, whether you want to blame McDonald's or whatever, they're bigger, right? They're bigger Japanese human beings, right? So, I mean, just look at the basketball stars, look at the height, right? There are some bigger people, and then the Japanese typically, I can speak, well, I'm petite, but I got good muscle mass, right? So just typically speaking, one of the things I like about watching Japanese fighters, they don't usually have toothpick legs, right? Sturdy legs, proportioned from the feet all the way up. So the weight at the weight that weight class, the weight should distribute nicely versus a lot of American fighters who are top heavy with little toothpick legs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, kind of like me. I mean, I'm only 5'3", but I weigh in a little over 170 pounds. I'm not saying I would be a perfect fit for the welterweight division, but
Yeah.
I mean, still
But
though.
you guys have noticed, right? When you see the Japanese fighters in one, right, versus the other guys, they always have some good tree stumps, right? Tree stumps, right? Good legs,
Yeah,
strong base. So I
Yeah,
think
they're
that weight class,
stocky.
yeah, it's just the way. That's just the way we're built. We don't usually, because one problem, especially in the United States, is when guys work out, they never do their legs, and then you come in with the little toothpick legs, right? So just the genetic DNA makeup of most Japanese people is a good structure, right? So, being that a lot of the younger guys are bigger, I think that introduction to weight class and having a younger guy come in and sort of create some buzz, I think that's good for the for rising.
exactly. Especially considering the fact that, again, if Hayashi beats Sasaki, that would definitely be, the wake up call for Ryzen to invest in having a welterweight division. At least that's what I think. And especially if he defeats him in impressive fashion, that would definitely be a sign that, Ryzen needs to start working on bettering themselves past the 71 kilogram divisions. I mean,
Passing of the torch, right? Especially at home. I like it. Passing of the torch.
oh, yeah, of course. So, do either of y'all have any more predictions to put over for this fight, or can we just move on to the final fight on the card?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay, cool. And let's go ahead and talk about that last fight. And that last fight is I wouldn't say a toss up because, you know, Kyohei Takagi, Hinatori, the Phoenix as they call him, he basically jumped in at the last minute because Tatsuki Shinosuke, the problem boy, he was supposed to be fighting on this card, but he ended up suffering from some sort of a neck sprain. I don't know the technical term for it. I really don't remember the technical term for it, but he's basically going through hemorrhoid issues or really spinal cord issues. But still, though, point of the matter is Shinosuke is out due to an injury to his neck and spine area, so he's going to be out for probably the foreseeable future, if not for the next 6 months to a year. So, as far as his replacement goes, you got Hinotori, Kyohei Tagiwara. No, not Tagiwara. God damn it. Not Tagiwara. Takagi. Takagi. But they call him Hinotori. Hinotori. He will be facing off against Jae Hoon Lee, who posted a really cheeky comment saying that Shinosuke ducked him and he wants to show the best fight that he can possibly give to Kyohei Takagi. So, as far as the Phoenix goes, He is 32 years of age, born March 22nd, 1994, representing Brave Gym and fighting out of Misato, Tokyo, Japan. He currently has a mixed martial arts record of 5-1 and dazzled in his Ryzen debut last time out at Ryzen Landmark 13. First of all, with a Tokyo Disneyland entrance that was just so awesome. But then he knocked out Ryosuke Honda with a right hook, soccer kick, and hammer fist, and definitely has capability of being one of the candidates for knockout of the year by some of us that actually follow this. But he also followed that up with a knockout win in Deep that wasn't as impressive because not that many eyes can watch Deep these days. But still, though, he's coming in off of a 3-fight winning streak. All 3 of those wins by way of finish. And he's going to be coming back into Ryzen in this case, looking to basically show off some more capabilities. As for his opponent, Jae-Hoon Lee, 3-1 overall, representing Sony Sung Martial Arts Academy and fighting out of Anyang, Anyang, South Korea. He is 23 years of age, born December the 9th, 2002. They grow up so damn fast. But still, though, he's complaining about Shinosuke ducking from a fight. You know, he's a 4-fight Road FC veteran who really, aside from the 2 wins he had via first round knockout, I don't think he's really fought anybody to basically be talking about who ducked who. I mean, that's with no disrespect. I'm just saying, you know, he need to shut the fuck up and basically be happy about having a fight in the first place. But
100%. This guy's lucky they're bringing him in to lose just for him to even get a fight in Ryzen. That's crazy that he's talking smack.
yeah, of course, especially against a guy in Hinotori, Kyohei Takagi, who is 5-1, but 4 of his 5 wins are by way of finish. Half in the first round, half in the second, especially each of his last 3 wins via early finish. I mean, this fight's not going to last long, regardless of how much shit Jae-Hoon Lee talks. But, you know, now that Hinotori is in the picture, I mean, let's just say he roasts this dude in like 90 seconds. How far do you think his star will rise if he ends up getting a win in impressive fashion?
Yeah, Takagi it's awesome. He's that classic Japanese fighter. You have a couple of fights on the regional scene, you have a couple of fights in Deep, you get your shot at Ryzen, you win with a finish in Ryzen. Like, of course, they're going to want to build him up and try to turn him into a star if they can. And Jae-Hoon Lee, this guy, he doesn't fight strong fighters in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not that much of a threat. So I could see Takagi mopping the floor with this guy.
Yeah, same here. Azur, you got any thoughts about this fight?
I hope he smokes him. I like what was his name? Shinosuke? What's his name? The one who pulled out?
Tatsuki Shinosuke, the problem.
Shinosuke. I'm a big fan of his. So I think, and then how short a notice is the replacement fighter?
It was
Hinotori?
As of the time of this recording, it was announced about 24 hours ago.
Oh, I like this. I hope he comes in and shuts the guy up.
Oh, yeah, of course, because it's like we agreed upon. You know, Jae-Hoon Lee should be happy that he's getting the opportunity to fight on this card. Not, oh, he ducked me. I think he's faking an injury, blah, 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 you know? Be happy that you're fighting. You know, be happy.
Yeah, especially being Korean, you don't come in Japan and say that. Right? Against your Japanese opponent and the other Japanese opponent, right? who has a lot of fans just because he's a gangster, right? So I hope it's an early and quick finish by Hinotori-san.
I mean, let's just face it. Considering how beautiful that entrance he had at Rising Landmark 13 was, I would not be surprised if Takagi has as beautiful of an entrance as he does with his fight. I mean, I can only imagine that, Takagi would probably be ready to just dazzle on the entrance and then, take the fight easy and just basically shut this guy up in 90 seconds.
And start a very festive night of fights. Set the tone.
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, you could even say it could be Fantasia-esque, so to speak.
I love the entrances. I love all that. I love when they do that because it's so cinematic and colorful, just like my culture.
Understood. And I got this idiot in the comments saying, "Who the fuck is Takagi? Hinotori? Hello." I mean, if you've been following along these last few minutes, you'd know who the hell Hinotori is. I just basically gave you his full name.
Well, a lot of them like to go by the one name.
Yeah, I know. And they feel like that one name is very marketable, especially considering the fact that, it's like soccer players. You go by one name just to figure out what sells well.
When I did music, I went by Yukiko because Yukiko is my middle name, and it means it has the character for fortune. So I figured the more I say fortunate child, the more it works. Okay. So that was my singular name for when I did some music.
Nice.
That's awesome. So now that we pretty much talked about all these fights that are taking place, prelims and main card, even the one fight that we urge not to talk about, we can go ahead and, put a bow on this by asking, what are, in this case, since I know that y'all are probably new to this, I'm not going to say what are your 3 fights you're looking forward to. I mean, I'm just going to basically ask, what is the main fight that you're looking forward to aside from the main card, which are the 4 fights that we talked about at the start of this? Hiroya versus Erson, Ulta versus Tilenov, Dautbek versus Hagiwara, and Sabatello versus Kashimura that you're looking forward to. And what's one fight on the main card, the 4 fights that I just mentioned, that you are not looking forward to? Azuré, you go first.
That I'm not looking forward to on the main event?
Yeah, there's 4 fights on the main card, 8 fights on the undercard.
You can't ask me, a fight fan, this fight I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, and Azuré, I am sorry for even asking that because you're looking for.
I'm too rah-rah. Ask me after the fights if I like that would suck, right? And then now recency bias, I want to see Tori-san come out with a bang, right? Mm-hmm. I want to see Oshima put on a clinic, and yeah. So I don't think there's one on the, now that you've given me background, I don't think there's one on the main card that I'm like, ugh, do I have to watch that? I don't think I feel that way about any fight. Now, when it starts, I might, when it goes a little bit into round 1, I could say, but I'm all gung ho for any rising card.
Understood. I feel the same way as I felt over the last decade about watching rising events. I don't have really a problem when it comes down to these fights. I just look forward to them regardless. Now, Taylor, I ask of you, what are the fights that you're looking forward to, and what's the one fight on the main card you wish you wouldn't have to go into watching?
Let me quickly browse here. I think Suda versus Park. That'll be a really good fight. I think the Genji Umeno knockout, that will be a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the main card, I think they're all really good fights. Like, uh, I feel like the one that won't be that competitive will be Dautbek and Hagiwara. It's probably going to be one-sided. All the other fights are good, but in general, Ryzen fights are amazing. Like it shows that you could be an older fighter, you could be have a journeyman record, and you could put on insane highlight reel finishes. So it's there's never a bad fight that I'm never looking forward to.
Understood. Understood. And I think that other than Takagi versus Lee, and I think that Hinotori is definitely going to shut Jae-Hoon Lee up to open up the card, and then we'll go and make up the rest as we go along. I think that in this case, the fight that I'm looking forward to the most from the non-undercard perspective, from the non-main card perspective, it would definitely have to be Johnny Case versus, Tenya. Especially considering the fact that both of the fighters have missed weight in their previous outings. In the case of Case, it's his 2 previous outings. But still, though, I think that if Johnny Case were to win this fight, and we spoke about this, he really doesn't care about going after a title. He just basically cares about career longevity. He basically wants to show something that the next generation wants to look forward to. So, I'm definitely looking forward to Case versus. No, I am definitely looking forward to Johnny Case versus Tenya. Now, as far as the main card goes, and just as I was trying to look for my screen, there you go. As far as the main card goes, I don't. I feel like as though 2 under 500 fighters, Hiroya Kondo versus Erson Yamamoto, they don't really deserve to be on this high up of a card. I think that fight should have been swapped out for Case versus Tenya. But still, though, when it comes down to Hiroya versus Yamamoto, I'm not looking forward to this fight. And it's because of the fact that they got under 500 records. But it's like we opined before. When you got 2 under 500 teams in regular sports going at it, you can throw the records out the window. But when it comes down to 2 under 500 fighters, they're just going to go like gangbusters and beat the hell out of each other just to give the fans what they want. So I'm not looking forward to this fight, but I expect to see some type of action happening, some big action happening. Now, as far as what I really want to look forward to going into this fight card is the women's atomweight fights. And I know there's 3 of them. There's 2 on the main card. I'm really looking forward to see how this atomweight Grand Prix stacks up by the time everything is all sorted out for after Super Rising 5. But then again, that's just my opinion.
I think it's super sharp marketing and just just giving a lot of anticipation over the next few months. I think it's great for it. Just you talking about what's upcoming got me more excited about this, the build up, right? And that's what I really love about Ryzen. That's what is because the whole production from the walkouts to the visuals, right? To the commentators, to good old Lenny, right? The whole it feels very unified, right? And it feels unified and like a real, like they care, right?
Yeah, because unlike that 3-letter shit show that basically just had an event that was not worth paying for in Las Vegas over the weekend, at least Ryzen actually cares about what goes into their product, production wise, quality wise. Even the promotional videos that Daisuke Sato put out should definitely be worthy of some of these phony ass World MMA awards that keep getting 3-letter name recommendation. But
and just the even the fan, my dream is, and it will happen, to go to a Ryzen event because it's just a different fan experience from what we experience in the United States or even in some of the European countries. It's just the respect and the excitement, the whole, like just the visuals from us watching it so far away, right? To seeing it just so unified and just a positive vibe, no matter what. And they do really love the fighters.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Especially if you fight worth the damn. If you really do fight worth the damn, no matter what your record is, you will be bought back, or you will get that crowd appreciation to be bought back. Now, Taylor, as an overall fighter goes, and we're going to go ahead and, you know, give you the floor before we close things out. But as an overall fighter goes, and you are an overall fighter, when it comes down to this fight card, does it make you want to stay up and wish that you were fighting on this card?
I'll try my best to watch as much of it as I can. It's tough sometimes, right, with the time zone difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously, I've had two fights in Japan. I won both my fights. I'm going to continue to fight in Japan and until Ryzen has no choice but to sign me and give me a fight. So I'm not jealous. I'm wish everyone the best of luck, and I'm just patiently waiting for my opportunity to come. And when it does, I'm not going to disappoint.
Okay, understood. Point proven. Well, aside from all that, let's go ahead and put a pretty bow on this. Let's go ahead and close things out just by putting over shout out social media, the whole 10 yards. Yukiko, Azuré, you want to go ahead and put yourself over first?
I'm just happy to be a fan. I have a lot of really wonderful interactions. I have the blessing of, and I appreciate you so much for having me on. Taylor, you're gonna laugh. He was like, "Don't feel like you just have to sit in the corner and not saying anything." So I really appreciate and I really enjoy meeting you, Taylor. I'm gonna follow you for sure and follow your fight path. And I want to thank you for having me on. And I am the ultimate sharer. All my friends that have podcasts or whatever that I support, I will continue to share and like and share and retweet. So I'm all about everybody else.
Okay, and aside from your Facebook, well, no, not your Facebook, damn it, your Instagram and Twitter account. You want to go ahead and put over your social media platforms?
Me?
Yes, you.
You want to laugh so hard at my Instagram? I started my Instagram like any normal girl, right? Putting some pictures. I thought this is dumb. So my whole Instagram turned into an homage to Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, and that thing has carried itself over the last several years. I have 25,000 followers. I don't even know how it did that. And it just hovers, right? I think at one point it was like 28. It just sort of dwindles a little bit. I don't put too much new. So that's what is my I don't know what it's called again. You followed me. So people go, what is this? And it's just it's Azure Blue Girl at Instagram, right? And if you just go there, there's a lot of clips that I had a handheld like phone and tape YouTube videos because you can't like download them. So I have clips of some of my favorite movies from Bruce Lee and Jet Li and Sammo Hung and all that. So it's a lot of fun. I don't even post anything new; it carries itself. So and have fans. Most of my fans are probably outside the United States. So, but I don't do much on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. X has been my friend only for the cool people I've met, like you guys. So,
Aww.
and I just continue to share and meet people. I have a lot of friends in Japan now. I am going to Japan. I'm studying my Japanese, so I will study that and meet up with. I have people that want me to show up at like basketball cafes and stuff like that. So it's my international platform. I started it with poker because I used to be a poker dealer. So now it's branched out to you guys and the peeps. So Yeah.
Understood, and it is my honor and pleasure to basically have you on this platform because I don't really talk to. I mean, I'm not trying to say I don't really talk to a lot of girls much. I don't get a lot of love. I mean, that's not the case. It's just the fact that I get a lot nervous talking to girls by myself than I do, talking with everybody else as equals.
I'm
It,
more like a guy in terms of like not my parents, just all my friends are guys, all my friends are younger than me, just because of my likes, right? And I'm just not very typical of a woman. So it's just more fun for me. So I love my friends like you guys on X because I know some really cool people that are just there's a lot of silliness on X, right? And I just avoid it. I'm very good at avoiding drama. So that's why I keep a low profile. I don't have people hopping in DMs and saying crazy stuff, right? So it's good. I feel lucky, but it's the way that it's my samurai, right, Taylor? It's my samurai spirit in my class that keep me from being all silly there on that platform. So I'm just grateful, and I will continue to share the good word about Ryzen and about both of you.
understood.
I love
And
it. You got the Yamato Damashi spirit.
exactly.
My
She
family is from Kyushu, Kumamoto. So all from that region. And like you
Ah,
said,
Kumamoto. That's
yeah,
where
Kumamoto.
Miyamoto Musashi is from.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm from. I've never been there, but my brother he's been a yogi for over 35 years, and he's all around the world, India, Europe, but he goes to Kyoto and he teaches there regularly. So he told me, he said, when you go to Japan, you're going to wonder why you stayed away for so long. So
That's
understood.
awesome.
we'll do
You're
it.
gonna love it.
Chris, we'll do a podcast one day when I'm in Japan and you're in the US and I'll be in Japan on your show.
You know what? I would love for you to do that one day. I would love to be envious of you from afar, even though, to be honest, you've already got a lot of good traits about you, especially considering of how long you've been involved in stuff like this. You've been involved in stuff like this longer than both I and Taylor, respectively, have been alive. So, it's cool to have somebody who has basically been true to this forever basically be involved in something like what we're all talking about. So it's pretty cool actually getting to know more about you because of fight sports.
And my family, like I thank my dad, and he died young, but I thank him so much because the principles that you cannot teach that he taught me and they're in my DNA. I want to share that with people. And that's why I love Rising so much, because there's just some things that are very different. And I think that a lot of people gravitate toward that. So I'm like like a beacon for all that.
Mm-hmm. Of course. And if you want to check out more of Azuri's social media links and all the fun stuff that she does, her links are in the description of the podcast episode. If you're listening in the
Thank
video,
you.
you're welcome. And in the video version, I'm gonna have to edit both the description on this Focus Fights YouTube channel and on my own personal YouTube channel, which is also streaming this thing right now in post. Now, for Taylor, you got an upcoming fight coming up. Why don't you talk to us a little more about that and put over your social
Hmm.
platform?
Unfortunately, the fight in August is canceled now.
Uh,
But on good news, a lot of action in my DMs about fighting in Japan again soon.
awesome.
So if anyone is interested in following along, or in general, I've been a lifelong martial artist and a lifelong fan of Pride and Dream and Ryzen. So let's connect on social media. All of my social media is the same handle. It's at Taylor Lang MMA. So you can find me on X, Instagram, you name it. So let's keep talking about Ryzen and keep promoting and supporting the greatest event in the world.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. So I guess that leaves me. And if you see out that little corner on your screen, that is a QR code. It redirects to what links that we got at Focus Fights and Focus Fights Audio. So you can go ahead. I'm only going to leave it up for a few more seconds so that you can scan it on your phone, scan it on your TV, whatever, just to basically get the link out there. If not, or if you happen to be listening to this right now, you can check out the link in the episode description, as well as the rest of my links as well, including the link to both the Focus Fights YouTube channel and my own personal YouTube channel in the episode description. And as far as past episodes go, you can check out the previous episode that I did with Johnny Hollywood Case, Katie Perez, and the Black Panther Cam Worlds, which I just uploaded earlier today as of the time of this recording. You can check that out as it just went live, and I'm pretty sure that you'll love the conversation I had with Johnny Case, but even more so with the conversation I had with Cam Rhodes, because American Muay Thai needs to get a footnote in the combat sports scene because not a lot of people talk about it. But still, you can check out that episode, as I mentioned. Other than that, you can also check out some of the great fight sports fandom or some of the great fight sports banter on such platforms as the Todd Atkins Network, with Jay Wolf being a part of the fold on the Rising Report. You can check out Instant Inoue and Jimmy Main on the Yamato Damashi podcast. They just celebrated their 5-year anniversary over on their platform, and Instant was one of the first guests I had on Focus Fights Audio about 5 years ago. So I'm really happy that he's managed to carve a niche in this podcasting medium as well. I mean, I myself have been doing this now for 5 years on my own, but for 14 years, I've basically been doing this podcast medium just as a way to showcase my fight fandom. So I'm really happy and really blessed and highly favored to even get the opportunity to do something like this and to have like-minded people like y'all two, you, Taylor, and you, Azuré, basically join me. It was really fun having y'all on here.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure to meet you and hang out with everyone, and let's keep doing it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And thank you for urging me. He said, unless she's going to be too shy. So thank you. Now I'm really having fun.
Hey, it's like an old voice actress once said, and I think you probably don't know who I'm talking about in this case, but it's like an old voice actress once said, you don't have to be shy. Everybody deserves to be heard. So speak up for yourself. But still, though, point of the matter is you can check out Andrew Benjamin over on the because you can also enjoy all his hijinks and all of what he has to offer over on that platform, as well as MMAsucker.com. And if Jay Wolf was on here, he would definitely say, Pride FC never dies. Pride is rising. Of which you can also check him out on these platforms. He's on Discord and on Twitter X as well. He only spells it like that because it was like how he did all the way back in the late 90s to early aughts when he was on message boards. But still, though, that's about it from us for now. For Taylor Lang, for Yukiko, Azuré, I have been the Chillmeister J. Christian Gary saying, peace, my peoples, and one love world. Protect yourself at all times. Keep fighting because you never know who might hear your story. And just one more time for the uninhibited, you can check out Rising Landmark 15, which will take place live this Friday night, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific from the Hiroshima Green Arena in Hiroshima, Japan. That event will be live on Rising.tv for the English language viewers. It is on a bevy of other platforms if you happen to be watching in Japan. But still, though, point is, you can check out all the chaos happening on Rising.tv for $20 or $17 if you have the Rising Premium Pass. And you will be enjoying 12 great mixed martial arts fights happening for all the world to see, including the main event between Danny Sabatello and Jinnosuke Kashimura for the Rising Bantamweight Championship of the world. But until then, I hope y'all enjoy what we had in store for y'all, and hopefully you'll enjoy the fights, and we'll be back for the review coming up in due time. Lord willing, we'll be back next week. But until then, for Taylor, for Azuré, I'm Jay Christian saying good night, deuces until next time, and we'll see you at the fights.
Bye. Thank you. Enjoy.
Uh,
Later.